Welcome back to The Gassing Station, the podcast that piles into the PistonHeads forums like people are piling on support of an old racetrack that's potentially under threat, something that we hinted at in the previous episode. Sam Sheehan, my co-host, that was the "oh yeah" that you heard in the background. But it's all to do with Chrystal Palace, right?
Yeah.
The park.
A local-ish park to me, a couple of miles from where I live. And it's a place I have banged on about for quite some time. Obviously, a lot of other people have been doing it for even longer. I did do an article on PistonHeads during the pandemic, for anyone who read that. It was a secret history article about how the entire circuit, in both its early 20th century and post-World War II 20th century layouts, is still there in pretty much its entirety, albeit being misidentified, or most people just walking around it just think it's a dog walking path or a cycling path. It's actually the old racetrack where the likes of Jim Clark and other iconic and legendary drivers, several F1 drivers, they never had an F1 race there, but they did have...
I think they had a non-championship race there,
I was just about to say that. They had a I like the glasses move for the listeners. Cam did just raise his glasses up his nose. Exactly that. They did race. So they raced Formula 1 cars there in a non-championship round, and they raced Formula 2 there, I think, in championship rounds. So they were very fast single-seaters. And the stuff I love the most, looking at through the archives, is like the Cortinas and the Minis and the Ford Galaxies, kind of like a Goodwood revival, but in period, in Chrystal Palace, a racetrack right next to the iconic, the place where the actual palace would have stood, with all the history of that, in London. So obviously, there's not many tracks that have ever been in London. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Brands Hatch is close, but it's not in London.
Nothing comes to mind.
So yeah, a really, really cool thing. Tracks still exist. There were, I think, pre-pandemic, there were occasionally some sprint days where you were allowed to use part of the circuit, but not all of it. There isn't even a blue plaque. And I've emailed a few people about this and spoken to some people saying, why can't we get a plaque put up? Anyway, the reason this is now front of mind for me and sort of in the news stories, I think motorsport sites are covering it, is that, and this is exciting for Chrystal Palace, there's a big investment fund going into the park to redevelop it. I think they're repainting and sort of remoulding some of the dinosaurs that are there. Anyone who knows, they've got Victorian dinosaurs, which are all wrong because the Victorians got it slightly wrong. Worth going for that if you've got kids especially. But the racetrack, because it's not recognised or remembered by most people, there's no consideration to not necessarily even restore it, just even to retain it during this upgrade to the park. So while most of the track will be untouched because, as I mentioned, a lot of it is just footpaths, and so they're still useful in some of the more wooded and green areas, there's a bit with the big sports complexes where there's everything from athletics to boxing and all the other kind of major sports. They've got a big sports facility centre that's going to be upgraded. Sounds super exciting, but it will probably involve some damage or bulldozing of what used to be the main straight. And if you actually walk or cycle, or even you can actually still drive down a bit of it because it's a car park, it really does feel like an arena experience because there's kind of like walls either side. There's like a big gantry that goes over. If you read my secret history article, you'll know that the original turnstiles to access the racetrack, if you were a punter coming in to watch it, they're all there, but overgrown in the woods.
No way,
yeah,
really?
It's amazing. It's like going back. It's like watching 28 Days, like 28 Days Later, where they see bits of like the country just covered in woodland and being overgrown. It wasn't 28 days. It would have been 28 weeks or whatever by that point. But it's that. It's like dystopian turnstiles, all overgrown. It's worth going to see it. But anyway, a lot of that's under threat because obviously this redevelopment's happening, which is exciting. But there is a petition for people like us and hopefully our listeners and viewers to sign to say, look, recognise it. Or I think you can put a comment actually on the development discussion. And so you should, if anyone's listening to this and has any opinions on this stuff, please do put in just saying, can we recognise, even if it's a plaque or a statue or something.
I think it needs something, doesn't it? Because I guess it's not up there as it's not like a Rem in France, of where there's still all of the original pit buildings and stuff. It's a very, if you know, or if you're Sam Sheehan, then you'll know what's there. But I've not been to the site. Is it very much one of those things where if you don't know, there's no signs of it really whatsoever? Because I guess the original straight is just a strip of concrete, really, isn't it?
It is, but it is quite wide and it's very noticeable. My favourite bit is at the start of the straight. Firstly, if you cycle it, if you run it as well, there's a little downhill onto the straight, and you can just imagine how bloody quickly these cars would be accelerating because there's a downhill off the last corner. and it's quite steep. I don't know what it is in percentage terms, but it's not far off Paddock Hill Bend.
Oh wow!
Exiting that, yeah. So the amount of I can just imagine the power oversteer moments coming off, and the emphasis on how much they probably did do the power oversteering is the fact that there's a big concrete wall that was clearly put in to stop cars probably flipping off into the spectators, which I think did happen in the early days. There's a big concrete wall with loads of gash marks, like scrapes down it, clearly from cars having impacted it.
That's amazing.
And it's all still there. It's all got art. Some would call it graffiti. It's artwork because it's been allowed by the park. So it's like people have been allowed to paint this wall in a very sort of urban way. But it's all lovely stuff. But you have to look a bit closer and you see all these marks. So that history is all there, all literally there under your feet and on the walls, as I said. So you wouldn't know what it is until someone like me came up to you and went, "Did you know you're standing on a racetrack?"
And that's what you spend most of your weekends doing.
I do that.
Running around Chrystal Palace
3 to 4 times,
screaming like an angry preacher, just going, "Do you know the history of this place?"
Know? Yeah.
I mean, come on, how many parks does London have? Many.
A lot, yeah.
It has a lot of parks, and almost all of them have some sort of wall with graffiti on it.
Yeah.
Why can't you be slightly different, Chrystal Palace? Why don't you have like a little, like, I don't know, just do like a hint of Goodwood. Just have a little area that kind of says, hey, this was an old Grand Prix venue. Or what would be kind of cool is, I don't know, maybe marking the outline of the circuit just in white paint and then a plaque somewhere. Just, it doesn't have to be like a full, Goodwood style. Here's a completely preserved circuit. Just a little bit, just a little to be like, oh yeah, this was kind of a cool place. You know,
it was, yeah. And obviously, as I said, there were unfortunately people did die as well, and especially in the early days. There were early 20th century racing, which and if you've seen images of early 20th century cars, the tires were spindly. They still had crazy fast engines. People were crashing and dying, and one of the corners in the more modern circuit, the sort of post World War II circuit, did get within about 20 meters of someone's back garden, and I think that started to be an issue, and that was one of the reasons why it eventually got shut down. I think because naturally it was loud and dangerous and basically in a residential area.
Well, so there is, it does sound like there's a petition, right, that people can sign to keep...
I got it wrong by saying petition, actually. There might be one. It's there's like a concert, I can't remember what you call it now. If I search for now, you can basically, if any work's being done at council level, you can I typed in Chrystal Palace and it's given me the scores for the latest game. It's basically like a page you can put comments on, pin some comments against. Regeneration updates, there we go. Cool. Chrystal Palace Park Trust.
Or just go and lie down on the straight. I don't know when they're tearing it up, but if you just go and lie down now, that should give you enough time to really make a point, and hopefully keep the straight. Chrystal Palace obviously has not held a race for many a year. However, speaking of circuits that were doomed and now no longer are, we had a little bit when we ended the last podcast, we kind of alluded to, there's a circuit that's being closed down. Well, good news for our Polish listeners, it's not happening anymore. The news this last week was that a circuit in Poland called Tor Poznan, I'm sorry to anybody who is Polish or speaks Polish for completely butchering the name, but from what I understand, it's one of, if not Poland's only international grade motorsport venues.
According to this website, it is the only one approved for top level international competition.
Yeah. And so it was under threat recently because it kept failing noise limits. It had a hyper strict noise limit of 50 decibels from the nearby town. So that's
like a sneeze.
It is like a sneeze, yeah. A mouse's sneeze.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's different to if you were to record it at the trackside, which is where you usually get the 100, 110 decibel limits. But still, 50 decibels from afar is really not much at all. So it seems like the local governments were like, no, not going to do this anymore. We're going to tear down the racetrack. The most ridiculous thing about all of it is that Tor Poznan, or however you pronounce it, is positioned within meters of an airport.
Yeah, and a busy highway.
So they go, no, it's the racing is clearly the problem. It's so loud. It's just definitely not the jets that are taking off. But the good news is it looks like that's no longer happening. It looks like Poland, Tor Poznan, or however you pronounce it, is here to stay. Someone's managed to step in and save it, right? Yeah,
someone's managed to step in. And also they've highlighted, I mean, again, these are not my words. I'm not invested in this scenario, but I'm happy to hear this. Apparently it sounds like it was a little bit biased, the closing down of the temporary closing down, because, and this fact really makes me laugh and blows my mind a little bit, And I've just seen this circuit was established in 77, which is about the time Chrystal Palace was being shut down. So they sort of with one end became a new beginning, albeit Poland, very far away. But still, the fact that blew my mind was that, 50 decibels was the limit.
Yes.
So the circuit was closed during the period of when it had breached its limits, during one of the periods where the noise box, whatever it was, which was outside the circuit a few miles away, I think, wasn't it? Or wherever. It breached the limit on a day when it was shut, telling you that the noise didn't come from the circuit.
It's just...
So clearly there are other things making noises that the circuit is being blamed for.
People get really wound up about other people having fun on racing tracks when you're doing it in a safe environment and you're doing it not on the road, and you're also doing it in a place that's like, I've got people that will ride mopeds really loudly next to my flat constantly. I'd much rather they went and did that at a racetrack. Yeah. So, that's what racing people are doing. They're not making any problems. And if you go and move next to a racetrack, stop complaining.
Here we go. Look, the railway lines and expressways generate around 63 decibels. And also, do you remember Mallory Park?
I do remember.
That had that. I did that years and years ago. I did a little radio piece for an assignment I did when I was doing an MA, and I went and interviewed some of the local residents at Mallory. All of the residents who'd lived there when there was a period, I think it was 12 years ago, when they were attempting to shut the circuit for a similar reason to this Polish circuit, which was all to do with noise complaints. The circuit was at that time, I think, over 100 years old, so it's even more now. And the residents who'd been there for 10, 12, 20 years, they were fine with it. They were like, it's always been here. It's just part of the background noise of living here. We don't think anything of it. It was the new residents who'd just moved in a new build area around the corner who were then complaining, and enough of them got together, and then the council listened and had to take action. Thankfully, that hit the news headlines, much like this Polish story did, and a national discussion became the dominating factor, and obviously it lives on to this day, thankfully.
It's like moving next to a sewage plant and complaining of the smell.
Exactly.
On to our first topic. Good news if you've got a lot of money and you like rally homologation specials, because we have, this is the first time I've seen one for sale on PH in my almost 4 years of being here, a Peugeot 205 T16 road car for sale on PistonHeads.
Wow.
At the time of recording.
Wowzers trousers.
Wowzers trousers indeed.
Yeah.
This is actually quite rightly put by Matt Bird in the Spotted article that it's a bit of an underappreciated homologation special, because this is the era where the Delta S4 was competing, and the Audi Sport Quattro, and even the Renault 5 Turbo. I would say all of those are more revered or more celebrated homologation specials over the 205 T16.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because of all of them, it was the T16 that was more successful.
Yeah, and look how cool it looks.
It is.
And it's got a pea shooter.
Cool. It does have a pea shooter, which is one of the topics of our podcast recently.
Yeah, pepper pots and a pea shooter.
Pepper pots and a pea shooter.
A whole dinner table there.
Oh, that's a lot of peas. The and the rally car had a central exhaust, which was exceptionally cool. But these were, I believe, back-to-back WRC champion. So it won in 85 and 86. But obviously in 1986, Group B rallying was shut down for the obvious reasons. But again, like what Audi had to do and what Lancia had to do, Peugeot had to build at least 200 road-going T16s to make it eligible for the World Rally Championship. They couldn't do what they would do with the 206, was just make a four-wheel drive version of a car that didn't have four-wheel drive. So the big changes, in fact, there's not a hell of a lot that it shares in common with a standard 205. The lights, and I believe the front of the chassis, is a 205. The rest of it, so kind of behind the cabin and back, is all space frame.
Wow.
So, and in fact, if you look at it, if you're unfamiliar with the 205 T16, the back of it, like the S4 was, is a clamshell design. So it lifts up like an F40, which is extremely cool.
Yeah.
Rather than there being a twin turbo V8 in the back of it, this one has a single turbo inline 4. The Group B car would have produced many, many hundreds of horsepowers, and was a right monster.
Yeah.
The road car, not so much. In fact, it probably would have been quite peppy back in 1984 85 when it came out, but instead it's producing it. Well, by today's standard, it's not the best. It's 200 horsepower.
But what does it weigh? It's got to be 800 kilograms. If it's a space frame, it'll be even less than that.
So it's about 1,100 kilos.
Some especially indicate slightly lighter weight. Yes,
or some suggest that. So yeah, we're talking about around about a ton. So it's not a lot, especially. But the engine that was actually put in this, so yeah, it had an all-wheel drive system, as you would expect, mid-engined, where obviously the regular 205 was front-engined. The engine itself was the XU8T. This was an experimental prototype engine for the rally car, and only ever featured in road car form in the T16 road car. It didn't feature in any other road car. It did feature in the Peugeot Quasar concept, which was sort of a Group B style supercar, which was this amazing period in the 80s of where the two were sort of combining. That never saw the light of day as an actual production car. It also featured in the Pikes Peak car and something else that escapes me at the moment. But it was essentially a proper race engine that wasn't featured in any other road car other than this T16. My thinking is that if you were extremely brave, as in wanting to chop up a car that's worth a hell of a lot of money, $265,000 in the case of this example, you could probably get that up to quite a bit more. I know with the S4, they were drastically detuned.
Yeah.
And it didn't take a lot of work to unlock quite a lot of power to bring it up to Group B standards.
Does it run cut? It'd be fuel injection, wouldn't it? 86. Yeah. So it's not like it would need a chip probably.
I would imagine so. Yeah. The other thing to bear in mind though is that being an 80s performance car based on a rally engine, that engine I would assume was only meant to last one rally.
Yeah, and that was the 80s,
most.
Right? It was Formula One as well.
So it's detuned probably just so it doesn't completely blow itself up.
That was the attitude to motorsport in the day. As long as it gets you around to the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a fantastic thing. They were available in white as well, but this is one of the grey examples, which is the kind of...
I love it.
It is really, really good.
For the listeners, this looks so cool, because obviously the 205 GTI is great anyway, but this just has that extra muscle with the swelled rear half, the space frame end.
And is obviously it's just such a good looking thing. So... Only 200 were made. Very, very few came to the UK. This one was actually imported back in 2016, I believe. And in that time, it's undergone 15 grand's worth of maintenance and restoration work. So it is an absolute peach of an example. Again, £265,000, which is quite a lot more than what a Tolman 205 GTI would be, and a heck of a lot more than if you just bought a 205 with a dimmer kit. Someone did actually message on social media, "Oh, is that just a dimmer kit?" And you think like that's really impressive by to show you how good dimmers are. But also, if you bought that and someone goes, "Oh, I love the dimmer kit," you'd be like, "I spent £250,000 on this."
It's like having a real GT40, and everyone goes, "Oh, that would definitely be a replica."
It's definitely a replica, isn't it? Based on an MR2.
Yeah.
So, an incredible car. But it did get me thinking, what other homologation specials can you buy right now on the PistonHeads Classifieds? So, Sam, we've been having a dig.
Yeah.
And come up with some of our favourites. These are for, I would actually say, bearing in mind one of the cars on this list, they are for all price points. Yeah. So if you've got, I would say from... Oh, if it was do you want to start off with the Renault actually?
Yeah.
Start off with this. This is probably the cheapest way, aside from the Peugeot that you've got, into a homologation special.
Good point.
What is it, Sam?
Yeah. Well, actually, and this just reminded me, I haven't mentioned my Clio. An episode earlier, I said I was going to update on the MOT status of the 182. It needs an MOT. I haven't had it done yet. But this car is a 172 Cup, which does have an MOT, and also a full track car makeover, which is kind of appropriate because these were homologated for Group N rallying. Which is why they didn't have ABS. And I mean, it all helped to save weight, but it was also because that was the homologation spec of the car, right? No ABS and no air conditioning, etc., etc. So these were the lightest version of the 172 facelift, certainly, that you could get. And of course, it meant that this car was actually a few tenths quicker, bit quicker around the track as well. This is a track spec car, and it's up for £8,950.
That's a lot of fun.
These are actually going up in value in original form, so it potentially would be worth even more in standard form, but certainly longer term. But I mean, it's the only one that currently on the PH classifieds at the moment. I know we do sometimes see these come through. They're not uncommon. They didn't make tons of them, but they do come through quite often. So by the time this goes live, there may be more in the classifieds. But yeah, you've got over $1,000 in change from 10K on that one. And look, it's 84,000 miles. That's almost half the mileage of my bloody car.
See, you don't need to buy a 205 T16 to get your hands on a homologation special.
Exactly.
In fact, you don't even need a T16 to get your hands on a Peugeot homologation special.
You just need 5 bags, $5,000 here. This is on Greek plates, interestingly, but is located in the UK. This is a 206 GT, which, for those who know, is a WRC homologation. And the thing that made me laugh was that it just needed to be 17 centimeters longer than the standard car.
It's probably most famously the most rubbish homologation special of all time. But it's not like we're putting a car down, because it's a £5,000 Peugeot 206.
Yeah.
You can still get a regular 206 for probably not far off that. But with this, you're getting a homologation special. The only difference being, though, Sam, is
extended bumpers.
And
of course,
that's it.
The WRC on the paperwork as well, because it does say that. I didn't know that.
Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, that's what it said on the internet.
Oh, that's quite cool then, actually.
Yeah, so you do get an acknowledgement to its WRC homologation on the paperwork that comes with the car. 17 centimeters was mandatory for the homologation because it was a 4-meter long class. WRC became at that time. So you basically have a 206 GTI, but with chunky bumpers.
And they are exceptionally chunky, because what's especially funny about this is that mechanically it was exactly the same as far as I'm aware.
140 horsepower, 2 litre.
Yeah. It really is a big old chin at the front and the rear, but they didn't make it any wider. So if you look at the WRC car, it's obviously much beefier. It's really got its arms out.
Yeah.
And it all works. The chunky bumpers work because the rest of the car is chunky. This is literally just a chin.
Yeah.
And a backside.
Exactly.
But if you want something with genuine rally purpose,
and it's rare,
and it is rare,
4,000 cars,
as far as I'm aware, not sold in the UK.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it says EU registration. Yeah,
exactly.
This is a late one as well, 3,963 the build number out of 4,000. So this is in the last couple of months probably of production.
That is even rarer than a Toyota GI Yaris, which I believe also features in your list.
It does, yes, because that's one we'll all know, because it's still, it's more expensive than it was before, but it's still a very good car that has homologation, a genuine homologation history. But yeah, as you rightfully pointed out when we spoke about it earlier, it was supposed to go rallying earlier. They developed it, and then it didn't actually immediately go rallying. It was on sale as a road car, but the rally car was not this car because of the pandemic, right? It pushed back all of the regulation changes in the WRC. But even then, when it wasn't clear whether it would actually become a rally car, I think they always said it would, but when we were sort of up in the air, we didn't know whether the world was going to return to inverted commas normal. It still had genuine, to a much greater extent than the Clio and the Peugeot we just spoke about, genuine rally pedigree, because this was developed pretty much from the ground up using a bit of part spin stuff, a bit of bespoke development to be a rally car. So that's why it is absolutely bonkers.
Well, Tommy Mackinnon was pretty big on the development of the car, because he used to be I'm not sure if he still is, but he used to be the team principal of... Yeah. He's not anymore, because it's... Jari-Matti Latvala, but it used to be Tommy Mackinnon, and apparently he was adamant about the roof line tapering down, because if you look at the GI Yaris, it's got a much more slopey coupe-like roof compared to a standard Yaris, and the idea was to basically fit a larger, or open up a larger space for the rear wing. So everything about that car was designed for the WRC.
Yeah.
It did, however, get a slight... It did basically get involvement in rallying after all, because they released the Rally 2 car. Yeah. So Rally 1 cars are basically space frame prototypes. Yeah. They look like the road cars, but they bear very little similarities with them. I think a GI Yaris Rally 1 car, the only thing it shares is part of the A-pillar and maybe a bit of the door skin, and that's it. Yeah. Everything else is bespoke. The Rally 2 car is a production car that's been beefed up to rally spec. So it did get its rally usage in the end, and such a great car. Absolutely adore these.
Yeah, they are so cool, aren't they? And I mean, they've gone up in value a fair bit now in terms of the new... They're still making them, aren't they? making them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously they're doing the Gen 2 one is still being produced.
Yeah.
I drove the Aero version very recently at Goodwood, and admittedly it's when you've only got a handful of laps, it's quite hard to really know if you're testing the Aero out. But it was as fantastic as a GR Yaris always is. Yeah. I was just looking through the PistonHeads auctions because we usually have a GR Yaris or two up for sale. At the time of recording, we don't. However, we do have two Impreza WRX STIs. We've got an RB320, which sadly would have sold by the time that this podcast goes out. But we do also have a Type UK WRX STI, the hatchback style. That wasn't necessarily a homologation special, but the whole point of the WRX World Rally Experimental, I believe, was that it was a homologation special built for rallying. So there you go. But yeah, I'm sure we will have some GR Yarises to pick from in the near future, maybe even by the time that this podcast goes out.
I was about to say, they come in so often, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. They certainly do.
Any others to add before I go into mine?
I'll just dive in. We were looking for the GT3 996 GT3 when we to see if there were homologation spec ones. Yeah. But as you highlighted, it was the early car, not the update car that came in 02, I think it was.
First Preuninger car.
Or certainly in the early, Oh, was it? Yeah,
it was.
Makes perfect sense.
He was talking to us. Our mate, Andreas Preuninger, Andy as he likes to be known, was talking about it because, it was the first car he got his hands on.
And obviously the early one is the one we were looking for because that is the homologation special for Porsche to take its 996 GT3 into the Le Mans GT category of the day. However, despite there being 5 996 GT3s on PH, at the time of recording, they were all the later car, which was not a true homologation special because by that point, I guess they'd homologated the early car, the rules had changed, etc. But you won't bloody believe what I did find in the classifieds. On PH, POA though, so we don't know how much it's going to cost, we found an actual race car, the actual 996 GT3 RSR race car, which is still an
epic.
Active race car, an original build. I see a photo here. It competed at the Spa, maybe the 24 hours or something, in 2010. So it's got some history.
And it's available pretty much as it would have left the factory. So it's white. It's white. So, I mean, you could put whichever livery you want on it. We don't quite know the racing pedigree of this example, but I used to see these when I first went racing as a kid in the early 2000s. These were racing in the British GT. Yeah. And the guttural noise of those old Metzger flat sixes were just fantastic. So different to what the today's Screamers are like. Yeah. But I just remember them sounding completely different to the 360s and Corvettes that were running around.
Oh, that was a time. That was a time to listen to racing.
As well. There was a Celine S7 running when I watched.
That would make your guts vibrate.
And a Speed 12.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool. But if you did want a Porsche homologation special, amazingly, we do have a 911 GT, which is the 993, aka GT2, up for sale. It's only 1.3 million.
Oh, that's
1.325.
That's a few espressos.
100%. But I mean, it's they built so few of these, 57 road examples, and only 8 of those were right-hand drive.
I didn't know that.
This being one of them. It is a right-hand drive GT in black. An absolutely incredible thing, a proper monster, again, built so that these could run in GT series around the world and at Le Mans. I saw these at Goodwood recently, and proper. They just look like such brutes because they had the wings stacked on top of the whale tail in racing form, and so the massive wing on the road car really does look quite small in comparison to what the racing cars had.
Oh, it looks so good. I mean, the stance, it's just. It's a combination of motorsport and the Bad Boys movie era cars. It just looks amazing. 1.3 mil though. I mean, these things are, and it's 16,751 miles. So it probably was used a bit more when it was newer. Yeah. And then it's probably not been used a lot since then.
I see you've got one more that's kind of more on the air quotes affordable side.
Yes, actually I totally forgot about that one. Yes, we've got our Group A homologation special, which is the Ford RS Cosworth. Sorry, those right.
It is an RS Cosworth. Yeah.
Which is the Ford Escort RS Cosworth, is what I meant to say. And it says in bold capitals, big turbo. I mean, they were pretty turbocharged to come with, so I presume this one is even more turbocharged. So maybe it has a bit more than its 224 horsepower. But 56k for this one, and of course. back in the period, I mean, what was this in the 90s? These were getting stolen left, right, and centre. Anything Escort Cosworth was being nicked. 3 doors, I mean, were very, very desirable to thieves, I believe.
I was just cruising along the motorway the other day, and a bloke came on to the motorway in the, you know, the kind of greeny blue example the greeny blue colour that they had.
Yeah.
He was in one of those, and he pulls onto the motorway and just absolutely takes off.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was having the best time in the world. And I was like, I mean, it was an average speed limit. He was absolutely going to get nicked. But,
no.
I mean, he was in an Escort Cosy.
Probably just woken it up. It's April, so he's probably just woken it up for the spring.
Potentially. Yeah.
This is blasting the cobwebs off.
Or just nicked it. Now, my ones are, I would say, a little more on the... well, we've had a 993 GT. I don't think I've got anything that's quite as much as that, but they're not far off. So I'm going to start off with a 190E. It's actually from the same seller as the 205 T16. So if you fancy a Group B special and a Group A special, but not from rallying, you've got them right here.
Yeah.
So it's a 190E Evo 2. So that's the one with the massive rear wing and aero kit. So there were some slight changes under the skin of this over the Evo 1. The Evo 1 was, again, built by Cosworth, I believe, to be a proper homologation special. The Evo 2 continued that with the aero kit. And if I remember correctly, it had a drag coefficient of 0.29 CD, which was a big improvement over... It's because I wrote about it about 6 months ago.
I was about to say, that's a strange bit of knowledge, but brilliant.
I know. I just...
there will be a pub quiz somewhere.
There will be, yeah, exactly.
That will have that question.
What was the drag coefficient of an Evo 2? And yes, so...
Quiz on my face, right answer? Yes, good, right, yeah.
If I'm correct...
There's always a team with that, isn't there?
If there's, I think the Evo 1 wasn't actually that successful, but the Evo 2 got a championship the year after it was released. So it was a DTM championship winning car.
That competed against the Alpha, didn't it? There was the Alpha,
the 155
DTM.
It competed against that, and the E30 M3.
One era.
So if you don't fancy an E30 M3 and you fancy something different with rear doors, 190E Evo 2. Epically rare, epically cool. This one, 275,000.
God, that seller is on for a good couple of months.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Something a little cheaper and something you may not realise is a homologation special, because I needed to double check this. But if you're a Le Mans nerd like I am, and you have been watching the C8 Corvettes race, you'll notice that they don't sound like a normal Corvette. They have flat plane crank V8s. Versus the standard Corvettes, which have cross-plane crank. Well, the Corvette Z06 was the homologation special for the racing car. So it's got the 5.5 litre flat-plane crank V8, which then went into the C8R and is now in the C8 GT3.
Yeah. Yep.
So there we go. And you know, the one I found is a right-hand drive example, because with the C8s, you can obviously get them in right-hand drive, and they're for the UK. They're a lot of money, 139,898.
Bloody hell.
The reviews of these talk about how fantastic this engine is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a really, really very special thing.
I drove a Stingray, which doesn't have the flat plane engine, but I love the interior in it. A lot of people don't like it when they see the images because it's got like that waterfall of buttons to the left of you, but it's so easy to use it on the go.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you don't have to take your eyes off the road and you just know where everything is.
The interiors of Corvettes have got gradually better over time, and I think the C8s, the interior is really good. The exterior, a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah,
I think it looks better in Z06 form versus the standard one. It just looks a little bit better, but with this, you're getting 670 horsepower, naturally aspirated, so you're not got any turbochargers like you would get in the ZR1, which is, I mean, we've got one of those on PH as well, and is ridiculous money. But if you just want something that's got a tie to the racing car, it's the Z06 that one you want to go for. So the one that we've got here is in like a proper luminous blue.
It looks great.
It does look really very good. 1,519 miles on the clock. Go and get it bought. The next two are going to be a little bit harder to get your hands on because they're in Hong Kong. However, they were just too good not to mention, and they are hyper rare. And if you are in the market for these, I guess it's...
Can I have some of your money, please?
Can I have some of your money? But also, I mean, import fees are going to probably be nothing to you. I mean, finding one of these is the most important thing. now that we've got them, go and get them. Go and drag them over from Hong Kong. One of them is a Lancia Stratos HF Stradale. So Lancia built, I think the aim was to build around 500 cars. From what it says here, 492 were made for rallying. So it was one of the first examples of a car built specifically for rallying, the World Rally Championship. And it won three championships. It was utterly dominant. It was a fantastic thing. Short wheelbase, ultralight, 2.4 litre Ferrari Dino engine. Sounded absolutely fantastic. But the interesting thing I found out recently was that we all know the Alitalia Stratoses. Mm-hmm. They only made a handful of those. Those were official factory rally cars, right? Built as a rally car. Every other Lancia, some people get funny about it. My pronunciation of Lancia. Every other one that you've seen in the proper wide body kit rally mode is an original Stratos. Yeah. If it's a legitimate rally car that raced in period, it would have been a road car converted to a rally car. So there aren't actually that many Stratoses, HF Stratoses left in road car form, because so many were converted into rally cars. But this one is red. It's the Bertoni design. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah. The gold wheels, it's absolutely immaculate. 19,200 miles. It's also in a country that won't have any salt on its roads.
And that
so
price
it should be very good.
That's pre-import.
That will, I imagine so. Yeah, that's going to be pre.
It's many pounds.
It's going to cost you a lot of money, but it is a Lancia Stratos.
Yeah.
Or Lancia, if you're going to get funny about it. The other car from the same seller is also a Lancia. And it's also a homologation special. Yeah. It is an 037 Stradale. This is my dream car. And it's £100,000 cheaper than the Stratos.
$450.
Arguably not as pretty. It's definitely not as pretty. But it is extremely purposeful.
Yeah.
These for me are a baby F40. Because, they've got the clamshell.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Clamshell rear. Yes. The Abarth 4-pot engine, supercharged. The noise these make is just fantastic. Hearing one of these come at a historic rally, you hear the whine before you see the car. That's what I absolutely love about these. This one, again, finished in red. I believe they had like corduroy seats. Very, very, very in period. Correct. Yeah. That's an 037 Stradale. If, however, you fancy something a little bit closer to home.
Oh, yes.
This has this has actually appeared on PHer a couple of times, because there's only a handful, and I mean 2 or 3 at most. Yeah. In the country, and this seems to be one that goes between a few collectors. So the chance has come to buy it. It is a TVR T440R. So this is the car that essentially followed on from the Speed 12, because the Speed 12 was designed to be TVR's entry into GT1 at Le Mans. Yeah. But by the time it was finished or canned, GT1 had died. So Mercedes
that was a black
killed it
car,
off.
Wasn't it? I remember the race car. Was it that? That was a black car. There was a black TVR. Wasn't
there was a purple TVR Speed 12.
Oh, that is so good.
That was.
I'm thinking of.
I think it was. Yeah, so they raced the Speed 12 in British GT after GT1 was canned, but for Le Mans they then created something that was known as the Tuscanar to begin with. Then it was also called the Typhon. It then raced as the T400R, and then the road car that we're looking at here is the T440. So it's I believe it's carbon fiber body. The chassis is completely bespoke. Doesn't share any components with, or doesn't share the core components with the Tuscan. And again, it didn't compete all that successfully at Le Mans, but the fact is, it went to Le Mans. It competed there. TVR finally achieved its dream, and for £249,999. With 10,300 miles on the clock, this one could be yours. This is my dream car. One of my dream cars. I'd kill to have this. It's such a cool car.
It was under a ton.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That's pretty bonkers if you think about it. I mean, I guess the carbon fiber bodywork helps with that.
Yeah.
Sub-ton with that much performance.
Unbelievably cool car.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Those are some of our favourite homologation specials that are for sale on PistonHeads. But I mean, we were literally scratching the surface. There are so many on there. And there's also so many different ways in which you could look at homologation special. So go have a dig through. on the classifieds or on auctions because, yeah, I mean, they're the home of the homologation special. Go and get something really with a bit of racing pedigree.
Yeah.
I think you might struggle to find a homologation special for our next challenge, but if you want to, I'm sure we could find something that fits the bill. This one's been posted by Steve Cars, and they say, I'm currently thinking of getting out of my A45 AMG. It's been a great daily driver, and I'm only interested in having one car, really. My situation doesn't allow for two, but it does allow for a budget of about £70,000, but can stretch for the right car. This will be a daily driver, but I want it to be something special. I don't want anything more than 10 years old. It will be a daily driver, so it'll be school runs, weekend away, car shows, shopping trips, so it needs to be able to hold up to 4 people and some travel luggage. As always, it'll need to be compromised in the sense that it won't be an out-and-out sports car, but has sports car credentials. Obviously, sports car with storage means it's compromised, but for a level of practicality. I love my driving. We'll be doing track days. We'll be doing weekends through Wales, Scotland, Europe, etc. I want something that will draw attention, look good at shows, be a talking point as well. Fundamentally, though, I don't want an SUV or a big car. So I'm looking at mid-side saloons, convertibles, coupes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting, Sam Sheehan. What you got?
Now, I've gone for I think my list is a more track-focused list than your list.
Right.
I think.
That makes more sense. You're more of a track-focused man
Well,
than I am.
I think it's good because now we've got a selection for our PHer for Steve to go between. Because the one I've gone for here is one of the most track-focused. In fact, I would say it is the most track-focused car on our list because I've gone for an FK8 Civic Type R, but it's the limited edition model.
Love this car
which isn't just
so much.
bright yellow, so it's going to work at your shows because it's going to draw a lot of attention, mostly bumblebees, but it's also going to be really, really quite firm.
Yeah.
Have you driven one of these on the road?
I have, yes.
They are quite firm.
I have. I've driven them a couple of times, actually. It is a fantastic car. It's one of the things where, admittedly, when I drove it, I was like, this is a revelation. It's such a game-changing car. And I got out and then I remembered that the tyres, they ran on Michelin tyres versus the originals, which were Continentals.
Yeah.
And I think the tyre difference was probably the biggest of all. But
a lot more mechanical grip.
But it's also lighter.
Bit lighter.
Yeah.
It is firmer damping as well. You don't have, because the FK8 and obviously the FL5 even more, you can soften them off quite a lot, which makes them really good daily drivers. This is typically quite firm the whole way through.
Yes.
But it is obviously, that gives you your mechanical grip because working with the tyres, with more grip in the tyres, it means there's absolutely no body roll. Really, really, really fast, obviously with the diff, this engine, this gearbox. Fantastic driver's car.
Unbelievably good.
Really, really, and actually quite spacious in the back as well.
Yeah.
You can get people in the back seats of these without compromise in a way.
It's a 4-seater, but I think it means that you comfortably sit in the rear versus someone kind of squished up in the middle. So for 4, it's absolutely brilliant. And for that star factor at a car show, I mean, one of the best on the list, I think, because it really is they made hardly any of them. This one is chassis number 5 for the UK. Fantastic
20
car.
examples coming to the UK.
Yep. And of course, really finished in yellow, unlike any other FK8. So, really, really, really cool.
53,500, so way under budget, and
so much money for a Civic,
miles.
but it is brilliant.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm so normalised to this stuff now. With that RS3 you talked about, that's 90k, and the fact that you could buy a Megane not long ago for 70 with the wheels. Anyway.
Yeah. What a world we live in.
What a world we live in. I'll skim past my second choice actually and then bring it up as one at the end because it doesn't fit the bill as within 10 years of age, but it is an iconic car.
Okay.
But I'll skip straight to a Lotus. So rear seats in the Civic, you can have legs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You probably don't want to have any legs if you are getting into the back of this Evora, but this is a GT410.
Yes. I mean, if you're the one driving, you're having a great time.
Yeah.
If you're one in the passenger seat, you're having a great time. If you're one in the rear, it's hell on earth.
Yeah, it's not great for legroom. But they didn't clarify how much, what sort of length.
You didn't say.
So I'm going to assume
long the legs were.
That they don't have very long legs. In which case, this car is absolutely perfect. And this really fits the bill as a track car as well because, Lotuses, as we know, are generally quite exceptional at high speed. And this would just have that lovely mid-engine balance. It's got, track oriented, especially with the GT410 chassis setup, but it's not too firm because Lotuses are actually quite comfortable.
Yeah,
typically.
absolutely. Wonderfully set up for the road.
Yeah.
This looks spectacular.
Yeah.
The 410, again, we talked about an Evora quite recently on a pod, and it's these later ones that really do feel very special.
Yeah.
Oh, their value bloody well as well.
Yeah, 60 grand.
60 grand still, you know, for
2,800 miles though.
So it's
basically
brand new. Only one previous owner.
Exactly.
Fantastic
condition.
car.
Yeah.
Just hope that whoever's sitting in the back is short.
Exactly. Not getting much better for rear power. Actually, they are a bit better, the back of these cars, aren't they? They're not the most spacious, but they're better. I found a 2025. It's just 830 miles on the clock. Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Now, I must admit, I've not driven a Dark Horse. I've not seen one in the metal, but I do know from... same. I know from previous goes in 5-litre V8 Mustangs with track setups and stuff. They're really, really very good. Yeah. And so this seems to be going down really well with everyone who's driven it. I think it looks fantastic.
The only thing is these were really throttled in Europe versus the US cars. And I think the Dark Horse only produced a smidgen more than the standard car. However... with that in mind, I imagine it wouldn't take a huge amount of work to get it up to US spec.
Yeah.
So if you cared about that sort of stuff, buy one of these, take it to a specialist of some sort.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wouldn't take much to really unlock its full potential.
Exactly.
Really cool car.
Make a lovely sound. I love the wheels. I mean, this has got Pirelli. It's got painted sidewalls. I'm not sure if that came from factory, but it is quite cool. I think this car really works it. And of course, you've still got like a pretty standard Mustang interior. You've still got 2 screen. You know, if it's your daily driver, you've still got full big screen Apple CarPlay, big cup holders. Obviously, a lovely manual. The manuals in these are really good, actually. So it's. I
mean, Sam, it's a 2025. Naturally aspirated 5-litre V8 American muscle car with a manual gearbox that you can buy right now. It's got 830 miles, so it's been very, very lightly used.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
Exactly. So I actually think this is a car like given the lifestyle this PHer has. I actually think this car really, really ticks the boxes.
Big time.
I wanted to throw in, but it's over 10 years. I just want to throw in that there's a lovely BMW 1M that's on site, and I think this looks gorgeous. 60k. £60,000, 68,000 miles, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, I love the 1M.
Another dream car that's a lot cheaper than my other T440R dream car.
But this one's a bit too old. It falls at the 10-year test because it's a 2011 car.
I know. How much did I pay attention to that? I think with one of my cars, not very much. So, I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with, it's a 2012, so it is a smidgen over 10 years old. But I'm hoping that the engine more than makes up for it.
And the badge. I mean,
and the
kudos.
And the badge. Quite the colour as well, actually. It's a 2012 Ferrari FF.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty... just swore. That's pretty pretty impressive for 75k.
Pretty flipping press.
That's
impressive.
a lot of engine for the money.
I was looking around like, can I get a Ferrari with rear seats for 70k? This one is 75,000, but... 59,600 miles.
That's why I didn't see it, 75k. I thought, how's he done it? I didn't see it.
I've gone a smidgen over budget. But he did say
wiggle room.
A little bit of wiggle room for the right car. And what is more right car than a 5.3 litre naturally aspirated Ferrari V12?
Yeah, you've got that one.
Now, admittedly, I don't think these are the prettiest Ferraris ever made. In fact, I think potentially the opposite. However, as a family car, something to run around in, yes, it's going to cost quite a lot of money. However, I mean, what a thing. It's so unbelievably cool. And let's not forget that the current GT 4-seater is what's the Ferrari way of calling it? A fast, high-riding vehicle. They don't like it being called FUV.
Yeah.
Ferrari utility vehicle.
Not an SUV.
Yeah.
That is like an SUV in every way.
We remembered it.
A modern SUV, yeah.
But I mean, obviously you don't want an SUV. Here you go. Naturally aspirated V12 Ferrari. And this one is in Maranello red, which is a slightly darker metallic red.
Oh, is that matching the...
Very smart.
Is that... Hang on a minute. Is that... Because you remember they had their... And I loved it when they did this in the Formula 1 cars. They had the darker shade of red.
They did F2007 red.
I loved that colour.
And I think it was deeper red.
Something to do with the way the colour looks on TV. This is after that.
I can't remember why they changed it, but 2007 and 2008 they ran a deeper red.
Yeah. Ooh,
tan interior as well.
Gentleman.
The racing car didn't have a tan interior, but I believe it had a tan leg protection around the cockpit.
It did.
Right.
Which I didn't.
Far too nerdy now.
Well, yeah, I never thought it looked like tan leather. I thought it looked like prosthetics.
Did you?
Yeah, I know it was probably for the tan, but I just thought it looked like
whenever
the foam.
I saw the onboards, I was like, I didn't really like Ferrari at the time, but I was like, that's pretty cool.
It's quite cool. I thought it just looked like medical spec stuff, but anyway.
If you fancied more power, though.
Yeah. The Germans have entered.
We only have 4 litres.
However, less than my Mustang.
It is twin turbocharged.
Yeah.
And we have 603 horsepower on tap. And it is ridiculous. It's an E63S AMG Estate with 35,000 miles on the clock. 0 previous owners. So, I mean, it's only just really gone onto the market. In black with the black wheels and silver lip around it. It looks like it's just going to thump you right in the face.
It looks like it's got a body in the boot.
It does.
It looks, and I thought it was on sale from Jules Holland. I was like, oh, he's really switched up the. But no, different.
Different J Holland. Yeah.
You could get a piano in the back of one of these.
It does seem like if you. That he would be some sort of boss of some kind that would run around in
He does have that kind of nicey like East End guy, but you might get on the wrong side of him, and then 3 other blokes emerge, and
he'll
then
drop
throw
a piano
you
on your head.
Yeah,
100%,
all that. Yeah, and he'd drive one of these. Yeah.
Absolutely,
probably drive a Jag. But anyway,
so it's in completely black spec, black interior, 603 horsepower. Just such for me, this is the natural step from what they've got.
Yeah.
The A45S. You want something like that. I know they said they don't want big cars, but it's not an S63.
No.
So loads of space in the boot. It does everything. 65, 900, that's the car I'm putting forward.
Oh,
it just
that
does
is
it.
cool.
Just spot on.
Well, I'll put forward just because then I get a coupe, because he did say he likes coupes. I'll do the Dark Horse Mustang.
That is
just because I'm thinking track, because that on track would be epic, but you would go through tyres like, tap water. Well, my analogy was terrible. Do we all drink a lot of water? I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, if
go through tyres like I go through tap water.
Well, yeah, that's something that some people can relate to.
But I'll choose the Dark Horse then.
With that in mind, there you have it. Our 2 cars that we're putting forward. If you like my E63S Estate or Sam's Dark Horse, you can vote on it if you're listening to this on Spotify. If not, if you go onto the homepage and click on the link for this article, you can either just drop down in the comments, oh, I really like Cam's E63S, or I like Sam's Dark Horse more, or if you think we're both rubbish, go into the topic, because I'll leave a link to it in that story. You can put your own suggestions down and then say how rubbish we've been. The other thing I was going to point out is that there is still time to get your tickets for PistonHeads on the beach. This is going to be an epic event. We're basically taking over the seafront in Brighton, and it's going to be an epic morning, Sunday the 24th of May. Go on to PistonHeads, hit our events page. PistonHeads on the beach is really well signposted, so just click on that and get signed up. I'd love to see you there. To end on, we actually started this idea when we launched the podcast, and we've kind of strayed away from it recently, but it's trying to find a funny story that's semi-motoring related and bring it to your attention. And that has been done by Mobile Chicane 22.
That's a great name.
Mobile Chicane 22. There we go.
That's hilarious.
That is it's a great name, but the story is brilliant. So they've linked to a BBC article, but there are many people that are reporting on this, of a Chinese brand called Ceres that has filed a patent.
Is this what the world has come to?
For a mobile toilet for your car, for their car. So maybe this will be an optional extra at some point.
I'm going to exit the planet. What is happening?
Why? Someone has pointed out in this thread, they said, if it's an electric car, you're obviously going to need to be stopping for a bit to charge up. Could you not just go to the loo then? But if you are caught short, there's a picture of the patent that's been filed of like quite a nice, seemingly well bolstered and sporty seat with what looks like a conventional squat toilet that you would see in
1980s France,
1980s France, or parts of Asia, and which is even funnier because it's not like a loo that you just slip under the seat. It's a squat toilet, so you've got to get out of your seat and squat on top of it to go.
It's presumably for a number one as well. This isn't. There's no solids going in.
Either way, it's a horrible thing to experience. Imagine if you're just driving and your passenger just goes,
"Do you want a sandwich?"
Do you think what hasn't been included in this patent is a curtain that goes between the front and rear? God hopes that this isn't for the front passenger seat or the driver's seat.
Can you just imagine like someone knocking on your window? You got much longer on the charger, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Charging's actually done. Give me a minute.
Charging's done, but the stopper's not. So you'd think that this was an April Fool's joke, but we are recording this on the 17th of April, and this story seems to have gone out on the same day. So as far as we can see, this isn't an April Fool's joke.
My God.
So as far as I know, Ceres is not selling in the United Kingdom yet.
Please, mate.
But maybe it will. As you can probably guess, Sam, the replies have been utterly brilliant.
Yes.
So Monkey Legend says, that's only on the bog standard models, though. Jacko says, something about a dump valve? Going back to our iX5 chat, it's just this is this has got an extra valve in it. Malvo, the irony being they're designed for electric cars, which as yet need periodic stops.
Yeah,
of course. Hoofy says, "What a crap idea!"
Nice, Thomas Crapper,
amazing,
friend of the pod,
absolutely friend of the pod, Thomas Crapper, and I mean it is accurate because it is an absolutely rubbish idea. Language Timothy says, good option to tick if you're feeling flush.
Very nice. Very nice.
Good.
There isn't a flusher though.
Oh,
it just sits there and then it slosh around. I guess you have to take it out. And if you have to take it out, then that defeats the point. Maybe there is. I don't know.
Why do you do it, like fling it out the window?
I don't know.
Oh.
I like the next one though.
I wonder if it's mentioned on the logbook. Does it come with its own logbook?
Do you remember a website? God, I don't know if I can say the name of it, but it was Rate My.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, very 2000s. Yeah.
That was
it was kind of the more PH friendly version of that was Wrecked Exotics. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
My neighbour had a Ferrari Enzo.
Oh no!
At the time, he had a Ferrari Enzo, and that quite famously featured on Wrecked Exotics.
What happened to it?
It was, as far as I can tell, without trying to give away too much information of who it was, I believe it was someone who was taking it to get it serviced. Had tried to take on a bus and lost out big time.
Yeah,
it did quite a considerable amount of damage.
I bet it did.
When the Enzo was new. Right, fine. PH legend Scrump has finished off with modern cars come with an ever-increasing number of drive modes. Sport mode, track mode, eco mode, and now commode. Bravo, Scrump. I think that's my winner. Language Timothy definitely had some blooming good ones though.
I like that.
So there you have it. That concludes an absolute crap-filled episode of The Gassing Station.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much for listening. I hope you weren't eating breakfast while listening to that last part.
Yeah.
Because you probably have repeated most of it. If you had this new Ceres toilet in your car, though, you could, wouldn't be as much of an issue. Sam, have you got any toilet-fitted cars that you're going to be testing out in the next 7 days?
I hope not, because the one I'm driving on Tuesday is going to be quite a high G-force Mante-related Porsche. So
that'd be good.
If that has any toilet-related stuff in it, it will go everywhere. So I hope not.
Oh,
yeah, it won't be very nice. That's at Thruxton, so I'll have some stuff to talk about on that, which is quite exciting.
Oh, a Manti 911 around Thruxton is going to be...
Manti, yeah.
That's going to be a...
Yeah, it's a fast track. It's a track that conveniently would make you need one of those things just through the old G-force and fear factor of it. It's fast.
I think Thruxton and Goodwood are the only circuits I've driven where I've gone, I really need to be braver for this.
They both have minimal runoff, but maximum in mid-corner speed.
Maximum mid-corner speed and just
minimal runoff.
Yeah.
So I might be coming back with stories of brown trousers, maybe. Going, God, I wish I had one of those patented, Anyway.
Does Sam Sheehan leave Thruxton in one piece? We'll find out when we see you next Tuesday.